The rain poured heavily over the small town of Kasima that evening. Streets were nearly empty, and thunder rolled like drums from the sky. But at the far corner of the market, under a broken wooden shade, sat a man, soaked, tired, and shivering. He looked like a beggar. His shirt was torn, and mud covered his shoes. His face was rough with dust. But if anyone had looked closely, they would have noticed something strange. His eyes didn't look like those of a beggar. They were calm, sharp, observant, like someone used to command, not plead. His name was Tundade, one of the richest men in the region. A billionaire who owned companies, estates, and cars that people could only dream of. Yet, despite all his wealth, he was empty inside. Every friend he had wanted something: money, power, favors. He often wondered, if I had nothing, who would still care for me? That evening, Tun decided to find out. He had left his mansion quietly, disguised in old clothes. No guards, no driver, just him, alone, testing the truth of people's hearts. He walked through the marketplace, asking softly for food. Most people ignored him. Some looked at him with disgust. "Go away, old man," a vendor shouted. Another woman laughed, "You look strong enough to work. Stop begging." Tun smiled sadly. His disguise was working. Hours passed, and he was drenched, hungry, and cold. He leaned against a wall, shivering, whispering to himself, "So this is how the poor feel every night." Just as he was about to give up, a gentle voice called out, "Sir, are you hungry?" He looked up and saw a woman holding a small umbrella. She looked tired but kind. A child clung to her side, a boy about 6 years old. "Yes," Tund replied softly. "I haven't eaten all day." The woman nodded and led him to a small wooden stall covered by a piece of cloth. Steam rose from a pot of porridge, thin, watery, but warm. She scooped a small bowl, handed it to him, and said, "Please eat. It's not much, but it's all I have tonight." Tund hesitated. "But, what about you and your child?" She smiled faintly. "We'll be fine. God provides." As Tund sipped the porridge, something inside him broke. He realized, this woman, who had so little, gave without hesitation. He asked quietly, "What's your name?" She replied, "I'm Amma. This is my son, Kobe." The billionaire looked at the little boy smiling through hunger, and for the first time in years, he felt something real. That night, Tund decided he would stay in Kasima a few more days, to learn about this mother and her heart. The next morning, the sun rose softly over Kasima. The rain had washed the town clean, leaving the streets smelling of wet earth and hope. Tund woke up under the same small wooden shed where Amma had left him the night before. He rubbed his eyes and thought about her kindness. That one simple bowl of porridge had done more than feed him. It had opened his eyes. He wanted to see her again. So he walked through the narrow lanes of the market, asking around quietly. "Do you know a woman named Amma?" he asked a fruit seller. The man nodded. "Yes, the one who sells roasted corn near the bus stop. Poor woman. Always struggling but never complains." Tund followed the directions until he saw her small wooden table, a few sticks of roasted corn lying on top. Her son, Kobe, sat nearby, counting coins with excitement, though the total couldn't have been more than a few naira. Alma noticed him and smiled warmly. "Ah, it's you again," she said. "How are you feeling today?" "Better," Tund replied. "Because of you." Alma laughed softly. "Don't thank me, sir. You looked hungry. I just did what anyone should do." Tund wanted to tell her who he was, but something stopped him. He wanted to see how long her kindness would last without knowing the truth. So, he played along. He told her his name was Mr. Ade, a traveler who had lost his wallet and was looking for work. Alma's eyes softened. "Work is hard to find here, but you can stay near my stall for now. Maybe help me sell corn." And just like that, the billionaire became a street helper. For the next few days, Tund worked with Amma, fanning the fire, turning corn, collecting coins from customers. Children laughed at him, calling him Uncle Beggar. But Amma never treated him differently. During their breaks, they talked. Amma shared her story. Her husband had died 2 years ago from illness. Since then, she'd been raising Kobe alone. Every day she sold corn, sometimes barely earning enough to buy food. Some nights, she whispered, "We sleep hungry. But I never lose hope." God tests us, but he never leaves us. Her words touched Tund deeply. He had billions, yet he couldn't remember the last time he had faith like hers. That evening, Alma gave him a small loaf of bread and said, "Take this home. You helped today." Tund looked at her in disbelief. "Alma, this bread could feed your son." She smiled. "We shared with you once. We can do it again." Tund walked away slowly, holding the bread like it was treasure. He whispered, "This woman has nothing, yet gives everything." That night, back under his shed, he couldn't sleep. He thought of Alma and Kobe, their laughter, their hope, their kindness. He made a silent promise. "Tomorrow, I will begin my test, not of her, but of myself. To see if I still deserve to be called human." Days passed, and Tund became a familiar face in the market. No one knew his real identity. To them, he was just a poor man helping Alma sell roasted corn. But inside, his heart was changing. Every day he watched Alma struggle yet smile. He saw how she comforted her son when there wasn't enough food. How she gave credit to hungry children who couldn't pay. How she prayed quietly when things went wrong instead of complaining. Tund had lived among millionaires who wore gold watches but had no heart. Now, here was a poor widow who had nothing but kindness, and it shone brighter than any diamond he owned. One afternoon, while Alma went to fetch firewood, Tund noticed her small stall shaking in the wind. The wooden frame was weak, half broken, and the roof leaked. He knew that another storm could destroy everything she owned. That night, when the market was empty, he quietly returned with tools and materials. His hands, once used only to sign business contracts, now held a hammer. He repaired the stall, fixed the roof, and even placed a small plastic sheet to protect it from rain. By sunrise, Alma arrived and gasped. Who did this?" she asked, eyes wide. Tund smiled innocently. "Maybe someone who believes you deserve better." Alma looked at him suspiciously, then laughed softly. "May God bless that person, whoever he is." Tund just smiled and turned away, his heart light. One afternoon, Kobe fell sick. His tiny body burned with fever, and Alma panicked. The clinic nearby demanded payment before treatment. Tund offered to help, but Alma refused. "I can't take money from you," she said firmly. "You need it too." Tund shook his head. "Alma, please, let me do something." Reluctantly, she agreed. He rushed to the clinic and paid quietly, pretending to be a distant relative. When Alma arrived later, the nurse smiled and said, "Your bill is already covered." Alma's eyes filled with tears. "But, who would do such a thing?" Tund simply said, "Maybe someone who saw your kindness." That night, after Kobe's fever dropped, Alma prayed aloud. "Lord, whoever that person is, bless them abundantly. They don't know how much they've saved me." Tund sat silently outside, hearing her voice through the thin wall. He closed his eyes, and a tear rolled down his cheek. For years, his billions couldn't buy him peace, but her prayer did. "Tomorrow," he whispered to himself, "I'll end this disguise. She deserves to know the truth." The next morning, Kasima's market was busy again, the smell of roasted corn, laughter of children, and chatter of vendors filled the air. But Tund was unusually quiet. His heart beat faster than ever before. He had spent several days living as a poor man, and in those days, he had found what money could never buy, real kindness. Now, it was time to reveal the truth. He stood near Alma's stall, watching her as she worked. Her face glistened with sweat, yet she smiled at every customer. Little Kobe ran around, healthy again, his laughter echoing like a melody. Tund finally spoke, "Alma, can we talk after the market closes?" She looked surprised but nodded. "Of course." When the sun began to set and the market grew quiet, Tund led Alma and Kobe to the same old shed where he had first sat in the rain. He turned to them and took a deep breath. "Alma," he began softly, "I have something to tell you, something I've hidden from you." Alma frowned, confused. "What is it, Mr. Ade?" Tund reached into his bag and pulled out a small wallet. From it, he removed a card, gold-trimmed, embossed with his real name. Her eyes widened as she read it aloud, Tund Ade. CEO of Ade Group Holdings. She froze. Her voice trembled. You're that billionaire. The one on TV? He nodded slowly. Yes, Amma. That night when you saw me in the rain, I wasn't a poor man. I wanted to test the world, to see if anyone would show kindness without knowing who I was. And you did. Amma's mouth fell open. She stepped back, shaking her head. You mean, all this time, you were pretending? Tund looked down. Yes. I'm sorry for deceiving you. But I needed to understand what real kindness looks like. You gave me that lesson. Tears filled Amma's eyes. Sir, I don't know what to say. He smiled softly. You already said it, every time you helped me. Every time you gave when you had nothing. You reminded me what humanity means. Kobe tugged at his sleeve and asked innocently, Are you a king, sir? Tund chuckled. Something like that, little one. He knelt down and handed the boy a small toy car. But you're richer than me, because you have a mother with a heart of gold. Amma tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Why me? Why help me? Tund looked at her gently. Because when everyone turned away, you opened your heart. You didn't see a beggar, you saw a person. And now, I want to return that kindness. He handed her a folded envelope. Inside was a deed, ownership papers for a new home and a letter offering to build her a proper shop in town. Amma gasped. No, sir, this is too much. Tund shook his head. It's not charity, Amma. It's gratitude. You taught me what money can't buy, love, faith, and kindness. Amma wiped her tears and whispered, May God bless you for remembering the poor. Tund smiled. No, Amma. You blessed me first. As the stars began to appear above Kasima, the three of them sat together under that same wooden shed, not as a billionaire and a poor mother, but as three souls connected by kindness. Days turned into weeks after that night. Amma's life began to change in ways she could never have imagined. True to his word, Tund built her a small, beautiful shop in the center of the market, with a big wooden sign that read, Amma's Corner, made with love. Customers began to pour in. People who once ignored her now greeted her with respect. But Amma never changed. She still sold her roasted corn at the same price, still gave free food to the hungry, and still smiled with the same warm heart. One morning, as the market came alive, a car stopped near her shop, sleek, black, shining in the sun. Tund stepped out, dressed in a simple shirt, no suit, no guards. Amma's son, Kobe, ran up to him shouting, Uncle Tund, and hugged his leg. Tund lifted him with a laugh, My little friend. How's business today? Amma came forward and smiled. We're doing well, sir. But please, no more gifts. You've done enough. Tund shook his head gently. Amma, your kindness was never for sale. But I'll never stop learning from it. He looked at the crowd gathering around, people who had seen Amma's journey from struggle to grace. You all saw what this woman did. She gave when she had nothing. That is what makes a person rich. Amma's eyes glistened with tears. It wasn't me, sir. It was faith. God tests us, but he always provides a way. Tund smiled. And sometimes, he uses people like you to remind the rest of us. With that, he handed her a small golden coin, engraved with the words, Kindness is the real wealth. Amma held it close to her heart. She didn't need to be rich, her kindness had already changed lives, including the heart of a billionaire. Sometimes, the poorest hands hold the richest hearts. This story reminds us, it's not money that measures wealth, but love, compassion, and faith. Dizzy, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to African Heart Tales Red Heart. For more stories that move your soul and remind us of our humanity. Because here, every story has a heart. Red Heart.